Hello, hello. Happy Monday. It's me, Amy of Amy Pagan. And once again, I am up at the state capitol right now, telling our lawmakers to please be kind. So no surprise. All right, so today's class is pre-recorded, but please do leave comments, questions, and your jokes as always. And please let me know how you're doing. By the way, that reminds me, Jenna, how is your ankle? I hope you're feeling better. Yeah, I want to hear how everybody is. And I hope you're all doing really great. And today we are going to paint this little desert scene of cactuses, or cacti, however you want to call them. All right, so here's the thing. Remember why we're here? Why are we here? We are here to relax and do art and enjoy the process. So we're going to be nice to ourselves. Yay. Agree with me. Give me a heart or a thumbs up. All right, good job. Okay. All right, I'm going to push this little guy to the side and I'm going to show you a few of the little special things we're using today. I'm using a different palette today. It is by my favorite, by Prima Marketing. This is their Tropicals. You do not have to use this. These colors can all be substituted with the classics or whatever regular palette you have. The colors we're going to use today include green and yellow and, some hot pink and maybe a little bit of blue, whichever one you want to use. And then I'll show you on the classics, on the Tropicals palette, which ones we're going to use. This would be, all right, this green called Palms, this green called Island, and Sunset, and a little bit of Coconut, number 14. But again, all of these are very easy, and Ocean. I think I used Ocean as well, which is number 23, but it's all interchangeable. So use whatever you want. And then I got some acrylic paint markers. You may know them by their other name. These cute little Posca pens. So this is, I was just kind of trying stuff out. This is sort of the same thing, just cheaper. And it has two different ends. So this end is nice and pointy, and this end is fat, and I'm going to use both of them. You can also use blah, 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 blah. Where is mine? Just, any kind of white acrylic paint that you want. So yeah, so let's get going. All right. I don't normally do like entire landscapes, but I thought it would be pretty today. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, let me just put that up on the corner. We can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna take my number 6 round paintbrush. And let me get my colors in here so you can see. All right, so we're gonna start off with this pink, which is this one right here called Sunset. You can also just use a regular pink. You can also use a purple if you'd rather, because I think purple would be gorgeous in this. I'm gonna load up my paintbrush. I'm gonna turn my my paper sideways, and I'm just gonna go big old blob, and I'm gonna go back and forth. And you'll see when my paintbrush gets dry, see how it does that? Just grab some water. There we go. And pull it down a little bit. And then you can always add more paint. I'm gonna start here at the big end where it's darker. I'm gonna add more water. La, da, 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 da. And I'm just gonna pull and pull and pull with water. More water, more water. Sorry. There we go. Okay, I have a confession to make. Until yesterday, I had never seen the movie Mamma Mia. I know. It's a musical. I think y'all know how I feel about musicals. I love them. But I had not. And it was my friend's birthday yesterday. And what she wanted more than anything was to have her friends around and we would all watch Mamma Mia. So that's what we did. By the way, happy birthday, Brooke. And it was cute. It was cute. Is it my favorite musical? No, it's not. But I thought it was cute. I thought it was neat. Okay, I'm gonna use this one coconut. Have y'all seen Mamma Mia? What do you think? I mean, it's kind of gooby and the plot is kind of silly, but maybe like it's the very definition of camp, right? So maybe that's the whole point. Okay, I'm gonna start down here and I'm just gonna be like, hi, it's all wavy because it's deserty. It's not super wavy because it's Texas. So it could just be super flat, depending on which part of Texas we're talking about. So you can use a yellow, you can use a brown, use whatever you want. All right, I'm gonna put some of this down here and now we're gonna go back and forth. Okay, loading up my paintbrush with water. It did make me want to go to Greece. I've never been to Greece. It looked really pretty. All right, and then they're gonna touch, but it's barely gonna matter because, you know, that one's almost dry, and then we meet in the middle and maybe it turns a little orange. Hooray! Okay, so here's where we are right now. And now, oh my gosh, I have a dress with these colors. Just recognize that. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit the blue. It's like a bluey gray, so if you wanna use gray, you can do that. If you wanna use regular blue, you can. And I'm just gonna smear it in here. Do-do-do. Put a tiny bit of blue. And now, we come to the boring part where we wait. Just gonna kind of blend it in there. And now we wait. It's not really boring. But this is why I usually have I'm gonna have to scoot you over a little bit, buddy. This is why I usually have audiobooks on while I'm painting. Audiobooks or music, because it helps. It helps kind of bide the time. Okay, so let's talk about, while we're gonna let this dry, let's look at some of these thingies. Okay, so the little things that we're gonna do. We are going to let this dry completely so that we can come over here with more watercolors, right? And put in our cacti. We're gonna use thin little wispy strokes to put in these cactus flowers and some little lines to put in the spiky spikes. And I'll give you some varieties for how you can do that. But these are the same color, same stinking color. It's just that it looks darker because we layered it on. And then this white, that's what I used these pens for. That's how we're gonna put in our clouds. Okay, so let's see. I'm just gonna put that up there, bloop, bloop. I'm gonna pause for just a second. I'm gonna pause the my filming so that you guys don't have to wait in silence while I talk to myself, but it's mostly dry. Okay, give me just a second. Okay, we're back, good enough. The top's a little wet still, but I'm not even going in there yet. So what I'm gonna do, which green am I gonna use? I'm gonna use this one right here. You can use whatever green you want. So I've got multiple options. I've got this Palms, it's that one, or I have Island, it's that one. I think I'm gonna use Palms. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get my paintbrush wet, but not sopping wet. I'm gonna do this bit, ready? We go, ooh, first we hit the phone to make sure that everything is jiggly. Okay, I'm gonna drag this right to like here. Okay, so now I have a damp brush, but it's not a dripping brush. Okay, just checking, making sure that I don't have too much water dripping. I'm gonna grab this green and I'm going to do my little cactus shape. So I know that I am left-handed and sometimes I paint in a way that you cannot see. So let me go slowly. I'm gonna do like a U shape, like an upside down U, but it's gonna be really pinched at the end. See that? Yay, and now I'm just gonna fill it in. I'm not gonna use a ton of water. I'm using more pigment than water. And I'm just gonna slide over here. Now, can you see the background through it? Yeah, a little bit. Does it matter? Not at all. Not at all. We're just gonna put a little more green over there. There we go, we're layering it. It's lovely. All right, now I'm gonna do that same shape, but smaller coming off of it. So it's almost like, do y'all remember Chaos Math? Mandelbrot sets, yeah, it's like that. So same shape, but smaller. And now it looks like it has Mickey Mouse ears, but it's not because we're gonna keep adding to it. And this would be my favorite type of cactus, the prickly pear cactus, and it is my favorite because prickly pears grow on it. Yay! And we can make delicious hot pink jelly and give it to our friends and neighbors and loved ones. By the way, if you're in the area and you have a prickly pear cactus that has pears on it, give me a call. I'll come get them for you, and I'll even let you have a jar of jam when I'm done. Okay, so we're just gonna keep doing smaller and smaller ones. You don't want them to get too tiny. But by the way, this particular cactus is where my little black cat, Nopalito, gets his name. Nopalito meaning little cactus. And that is because my husband found him in a prickly pear cactus along with his siblings. And he stuck his hand in there at great peril to himself to retrieve little kittens and gave some away to his co-workers, and then the last two that nobody wanted came home with us, and we want them and love them. And those are our little babies. Okay, so I'm gonna let that guy dry, and then we're gonna do a big Seguro cactus. I believe that's how you say it. And quite frankly, I don't think I've ever seen these grow in Texas, but that doesn't mean they don't. I've just not seen them on my ranch. My ranch, by the way, when y'all hear me say that, it is my family's ranch, and I have 5,000 brothers, sisters, and cousins, so it's not really that impressive. I am not J.R. Ewing. I am not running cattle. And quite frankly, when it comes to inheritance, I will probably get a few grains of sand, so don't be impressed when I say my ranch. It's not really mine. Okay, so just a big old rectangle with a rounded top. And then we're gonna do a little U shape coming off. It's like he's got a little hand waving high. All right, so it's like half a U. And it is fatter here at the top and it gets skinnier at the bottom. And it's like he's waving high. Here we go, let's do another one. Half of a letter U. And let's give him one more, but make it tiny. There we go. Okay, in the distance, we need to add one more cactus. So we can make it another prickly pear, or we can make it another of these tall, hi, howdy, how you doing cactuses. Let's just do that. We're gonna do a rectangle. Just a wee one, a wee little rectangle all the way in the distance, right at that little line in the sand, and then we're just gonna do some half U's. La la la, look, he's waving at us. Kind of make him fatter at the top. It's almost like a big comma. That's what it is. Okay, and let's make one more little one right here. Okay, hurrah, we're gonna let those sit a second, and let's put some flowers on top. Okay, so for this guy, I'm gonna give him yellow flowers. I'm gonna use the same yellow that I used for the sand, maybe? Or, okay, I have this pineapple yellow. I'm gonna use that. Let's try that. But you can absolutely use whatever yellow you want. It will be beautiful no matter what you choose. All right, so I'm gonna do, right here, I'm not gonna touch the top of my cactus. I'm gonna pull this little thread off. Okay, I'm not gonna touch the top of my cactus. I'm gonna do this right above it, and I am going to do an actual letter U. Hello. And then I'm going to fill it in with little spikes. My paintbrush is not wet enough. Let me get my paintbrush a little more wet. There we go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Okay, so I make a letter U, and then I do little bloopies coming off of it, like that. Letter U, little tiny bloopies. Let's give him one right at the top. Letter U. La la la. Okay, same shape, same concept, but we're gonna use the hot pink that we use in the sky. We're gonna use to make some prickly pear cactus flowers. All right, ready? Letter U. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Doing some little lines coming up and maybe a few sticking out the side. Letter U. little lines coming up. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da. Boop, boop, boop. By the way, today's class is not only on Facebook, it is also on YouTube. It's going to be posted on both. And going forward, let's do our lives on YouTube, and then I will repost them on Facebook. Why am I doing this? Here's why. Facebook is becoming so difficult for me to have a decent conversation with you guys. It doesn't let me see the comments as they're coming in. I have to have several different things set up. It's going to start deleting videos after they've been up for like a month, which is silly because I want y'all to be able to come back and do classes. So that is why. That's why I'm switching. Okay. And then you can also follow me on TikTok. And it's the same thing. It's Amy Pagan Art. And I'm just going to put some little yellow flowers here in the top in the distance. I'm just going to make them tiny. And I've been posting a lot of little tiny, I guess they're called reels, but it's just time lapse of me painting stuff that you may like. And it's not necessarily just class stuff. It's like my art that I do when I'm not teaching classes. So anywho, all right, I'm gonna grab a little bit of green, and we're going back to having like a brush that's like just barely damp. All right, a little bit of green. And now we're going to make little spiky V shapes. I'm gonna start where it sticks into the cactus and bring it up. So little spiky V's. And these are our little prickles. And they don't all have to be V's. Some of them can just be a standalone prickle. Some of them can be 1, 2, 3 little spikies. But a V is a good way to kind of think of it. And they are kind of facing up. And it's just the same green that you use to paint your cactus. We're just adding an additional layer, which is gonna make it a little darker, make it stand out a little bit. Now they don't all need to face straight up. As they come to the side, they can kind of stick out of the side. You want to think of them as reaching for the sun. And the reason that we start at the bottom of the V and go up is because that is how you're going to get it to look thinner at the most pokey part, the part that would poke you if you got near it. But Amy, how do you get near it to pull the little pears off? Well, I'll tell you. I do that with tongs, big old metal kitchen tongs. I use that. And then you put the pears in a paper bag. This is very important because then you will shut that paper bag so that the prickles tend to float everywhere in the air. So you want to shut that paper bag so the prickles do not end up all over you or in your car or in your house. And then there are various methods that you can use to take the prickles off. My husband and I have decided that the best method is burning them off. It's just you hold the pear with the tongs and burn them over an open flame. It doesn't really burn the cactus itself, but it does burn all those prickles off. And thank goodness, because they do get everywhere. I have had them in my house before because I didn't do a good enough job keeping the bag shut. So just so you know, that's what you do. Okay, so for this guy here, he's gonna have long lines, and then we're gonna put in his prickles. So give him some long lines. They do not have to be perfect. They can stop and start. They absolutely should not be perfect because nothing in nature is perfect and straight. That'll make it look weird. Okay, same thing here. We're just gonna follow that U shape, making some skinny little lines. Getting my paintbrush wet again because it got a little too dry. Grabbing a little more green, using the very tip of my paintbrush so I get some nice thin lines. And then time for prickles. So I'm gonna use the little lines that I put in as my starting point and do little prickles coming out from there. Doop, doop. That one was kind of fat. That's okay, I forgive myself. It'll be fine. Let's pretend it's another branch coming off. La, 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 la. Prickles all the way down. There we go. If y'all heard loud noises, I think it was the sound of my husband coming home. Oh, the robotics competition. For those of y'all who were with me, painting with me last week, you will know there's a robotics competition coming up. You guys, they made the finals. They did great. I'm talking about my daughter's group. They did really, really, really well. And then the final elimination was best 2 out of 3. And they did not win that, but that is okay because they did awesome. And now they're going to state. So that's really cool. I think that's like in 2 weeks. I'm not quite sure. Okay, guy in the distance. I'm not going to put his prickles on because it's too far away. You wouldn't see it with your eye if it was that distant. So I'm not going to put any prickles on him. I am going to keep putting prickles here. Okay, we're not done yet. Here's what we're doing next. We're going to grab some white acrylic paint or paint pen. And I'm going to do a little line in the sky. And I'm going to use that as the base for my cloud. And I'm just going to go curly, curly, curly. Some up, some down. Fattest at the top. I'm just going to make some little curly cues. And then maybe like little dots, right? Okay, let's do another one. Line. Curly, curly, curly. And it's faint and it'll kind of blend in with the paint. And you know what? Good. Okay, so that's that. And then I can take this same, I'm using the fat part, and I'm just going to go boop and put a little white between where the cactus touches the flower, like such. Now, if you really wanted to, you could use this thin part and you could add a few more prickles in white, or you could just kind of like highlight the ones that you have on there. You don't have to, but you could if you wanted to, just for some variety. I think it looks kind of cool, especially against that green. Doesn't it look nice? I think so. I'm just going to imagine that y'all would agree with me. But I will check the comments later and see. Maybe you're like, no, Amy, it's horrid. Horrid, we say. We don't like it. Y'all would never say that. Y'all would never. Okay. Maybe a little here. I kind of like this. Wow, this is kind of fun. But what do we need to remember not to do? Remember not to let them all get lined up evenly like little soldiers, right? Because our brain will automatically want us to do that. So some are going to go straight up, some are going to go sideways. Some are in V's, some are in 3s, and some are just little spikes. I made a rhyme and I didn't even mean to. Ha ha. And you know what we do now? Best part. We put our name on our painting because we made it and it's ours. And you made yours, it's yours, and it's beautiful because you enjoyed making it, and that's the whole point. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday and a wonderful week. I hope that I made a dent somewhere with politicians today for the better. Not holding my breath, but I'm going to think it. I hope y'all are doing well. I can't wait to see what you have created. Please take some pictures and either put them in the comments here or DM them to me. I would really love to see. Thank you for those of you who have been sending me your art. I really appreciate it. Thank you to absolutely everyone who tunes in to paint with me every week. I appreciate it. Let me know what else you want to paint. We'll do it. And I will see you right back here at Amy Pagan Art on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. See you next week. Take care, y'all. Have a great week. Remember to be kind to yourself. Bye.